So I want to talk about another episode of another show. So Full House was a huge part of my childhood. I felt in a way like I kind of grew up with Michelle, Stephanie, and DJ, and Kimmy Gibbler, and Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey and Danny. Stephanie wakes up because she thinks there's an earthquake. Now it ends up being a garbage truck, but she gets really scared by it, and the first thing she does is she goes and wakes up DJ. DJ's unfazed by it, and then Stephanie, still very upset about it, she goes into Michelle's room and she's like, Michelle, you couldn't sleep. Wake up. Michelle, who is half awake and also not phased by it, the two of them, they go and lay down and they wake him up, but he pretty much is like, oh, this is too many nights in a row, but he lets them sleep in the bed. So that morning before school and before work, they show Stephanie attached at the hip with Danny, and she's trying to get him to take her to work and then also joking around trying to take him to school. And of course, he says no to both. And then they go about their day, but it's very clear that she's got issues with separating from Danny. So later on, after school and also after work, Stephanie is at the front door. She is just pacing and terrified, and she keeps asking, like, where's Daddy? Why is he not here? What's going on? Have you talked to him? Talking to Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey, and she's ready to go searching for him. She's actually like halfway out the door before they stop her. And as they're trying to distract her, which isn't working, Danny comes in and she of course clings to him. She hugs him around the neck, and then he tries to like stand up, and she's still attached. As they're talking, he says that he has to go to a business dinner, and she is saying, she at first tries to go with him, but he says no, and she just freaks out. She has an outburst, even to the point where when Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey say something like, well, we'll do whatever you want, she's like, no, I want Daddy. And she's just panicking. And first, I want to real quick say that I've always thought that out of all the characters, all the actors and actresses on the show, which there were many good ones, I feel personally like she was the breakout actress and star of the show. She did a phenomenal, incredible job of being overshadowed a lot of the time. And I think sometimes letting another actor kind of steal the spotlight, sometimes in a way that is a talent that gets very overlooked, but it is a very important role and talent that I know Stephanie, Jodie Sweetin, did an incredible job with. So Danny stays home from the business meeting that he had. I guess he canceled it, and he ends up playing with Stephanie and Michelle. They're playing some kids games, and he tries to ask her why she was panicking so much. Like he's trying to understand what she's going through, trying to get her to open up to him, and she's just not. She in fact kind of yells at him that nothing's wrong, everything's fine, but clearly everything's not fine. So as he's not sure what to do with that, later on he's talking to Jesse and Joey, and they both mention that maybe they should go to a counselor, maybe they should see a therapist. In the 90s, there was a huge stigma against therapy or getting mental help. And this episode encapsulates it really well. Danny immediately gets defensive, and he first says there's nothing wrong with her, and then he or she's not as that bad, and then he says I'm not doing that bad of a job as a parent. He took it so defensively, and I'm really glad that now there is openness when it comes to people needing that kind of help. So he does eventually understand what they're saying, and he decides to take her to a therapist. And while they're at with the therapist, Stephanie is kind of off to the side drawing while Danny is just talking and trying to get to know her a little bit. So the first thing that the therapist does is she picks up the drawing and she takes a look at it and says, "Oh, Stephanie, what is this?" And she describes it. And one of the things in the drawing is that there's a giant crack in the building. She drew her house. There's a giant crack in the top of the building, and then there's a drawing of a man outside the house. Now, Stephanie goes through and explains that the crack is because the house is still cracked because of the earthquake. And then she says, "Well, why is that man outside? Who is that?" And it's, of course, it's Danny. It's her dad. And she explains he wasn't there when it happened. And so Stephanie starts finally opening up, and she starts saying that she was so scared for 3 hours when this big, bad, terrifying earthquake happened, and her dad wasn't there. They end up, that's the opening moment when she really lets Danny know what's going on. And I want to just throw my 2 cents in, if you don't mind. I think the most important thing that I took away right now from this episode, especially from the end of this episode, is that I remember being a little kid, and I remember if I had a legitimate, like a for real fear or a real thing that I needed to talk about, there were not many people willing to listen because I was a little kid. Parents were really good at saying things like, because I said so, or just do it. What speaks to me is I wish that parents knew that there are times, and there are a lot of times, to listen to what the kids have to say. Because not only do they have valid feelings, emotions that they are working through and should be heard, I think a great thing to do is to give kids chances more and more to say what they think about situations, good or bad. Show them that they are able and they are free to say what they think, say what they're scared of, say what they want, and just have a voice. I know, again, I'm throwing my 2 cents into this. When I was a kid, I didn't have a voice, and it took me years and years and years. In fact, it's only been the last few years that I've been really fighting and trying and working through a lot of that to be able to have a voice and to speak up and to um, put myself out there. And this episode aired in 1989, so that's how long it's been and how hard of a journey it's been to get messages like mental health matters, and giving your kids a voice is a really important and great step. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Give Full House a rating on a scale from 1 to 22. 22 is the best. Let me know if you have a favorite character or a character that you relate to the most. I can tell you right now, Stephanie, played by Jodie Sweetin, is that character that I have always related to the most. And I think she did just the best job out of the whole show. I think I have a lot of good things to say about the show, but I think she is the best part of the entire series. So let me know what you think, and let me know if there are any other episodes that kind of touch your heart that you want to that it's that you like. Let me know if there are any other episodes. Oh my God, Jesus! Let me know if there is any. Let me know if there are any other episodes of any other shows that you want to talk about that really touched your heart. I have a bunch to go through, so if you want to add some suggestions, go for it. Thank you so much, and don't forget, nostalgia rules.